They know we are hungry. They left the camp to hide in the field. They are thinking when the Israelites come out of the city, we will capture them alive and then we'll enter the city. One of the king's officers said, let some men take 5 of the horses that are still there in the city. The horses will soon die anyway, just as all the Israelites are still left in the city. Let's send these men to see what happened. So the men took the 2 chariots with horses. The king sent these men after the Aramean army. He told them, go and see what happened. The men went after the Aramean army as far as the Jordan River. All along the road there were clothes and weapons. The Arameans had thrown these things down when they hurried away. The messengers went back to Samaria and told the king. Then the people ran out to the Aramean camp and took valuable things from there. So it happened just as the Lord had said. A person could buy a basket of fine flour or 2 baskets of barley for only 1 shekel. There was some officer who always stayed close by the king to help him. The king sent his officer to guard the gate, but the people knocked him down and trampled him, and he died. So everything happened just as the man of God had said. When the king came to Elisha's house, Elisha had said, a person will be able to buy a basket of fine flour or 2 baskets of barley for only 1 shekel in the marketplace by the city gate of Samaria. But that officer had answered the man of God, even if the Lord made windows in heaven, this could not happen. And Elisha had told the officer, you will see it with your eyes, but you will not eat any of that food. It happened to the officer just that way. The people knocked him down at the gate and trampled him, and he died. That is chapter 7 of 2 Kings. Now let us go back to the beginning of this very chapter. It says, Elisha said, listen to the message from the Lord. The Lord said, about this time tomorrow there will be plenty of food and it will be cheap again. A person will be able to buy a basket of fine flour or 2 baskets of barley, only 1 shekel, in the marketplace by the city gates of Samaria. For God to change your situation around from nothing to something is just like that. With a blink of an eye, God has turned around your life and you're not the same again. Guys, this goes to encourage us that our God is able and there's nothing too difficult for him. Everything is possible before our God. Think about anything that you think is out there, is hard to achieve, is impossible to get. Our God can do just in the blink of an eye. Now remember, the situation was too bad, and there were these 2 women who had agreed to eat each other's babies. How sick is that? And how bad is a situation like that? Even when you think God has not worked for you, you've not got to that point where you think you should kill your child, eat that child so as to survive. And this is where these people were, at that place where they had to kill their children in order to have something to eat and survive. Now, however hopeless the situation is, God can always turn it around. An example is this situation in Samaria, where things were so bad, people were buying dung to eat. That was very, very bad. We've never, even in the lockdown, I come from Uganda, and we had the longest lockdown in history. But even in our lockdown, where people were not buying or trading as much as they used to, no one got to that point. But you can imagine, this was a situation where it called for even people eating their children. It had annoyed the king. Those of you who have been with us in the very first chapter, it had annoyed the king, and he had requested for the head of Elisha because of what was going on. I think because Elisha had told the king not to kill the soldiers that had come in to kill Elisha. He had told him to feed them and send them back their way. And when they went back, they never came back to Samaria to attack, but they made sure there was no trade going on between. They closed Samaria off, whereby they could not trade, and so they had no food, nothing. Now we see here that for God to change a hopeless situation to one that is amazing or great or incredible or hopeful is just like that. Elisha said it, and immediately we see that it's starting to manifest. In verse 7, chapter 7 in verse 1, Elisha said, listen to the message from the Lord. The Lord said, about this time tomorrow there will be plenty of food. It will be cheap again. A person will be able to buy a basket of fine flour or 2 baskets of barley for only 1 shekel. The only marketplace by the city gate of Samaria. This is how easy it is for God to turn around a hopeless situation to one that is incredible. In verse 2 it says, then the soldier, the officer who was close to the king, answered the man of God. The officer said, if the Lord made windows in heaven, this could not happen. Elisha said, you will see it with your own eyes, but you will not eat any of that food. This goes to show us, guys, that there is a price for lack of faith. When we doubt, our God is able, and there is nothing too difficult for him. You think of anything that in your eyes seems great or seems too big, it is nothing before God. For him to feed a whole nation that has been starving for ages is just like this. He turns around things. Now, he's one who turns around situations that are hopeless. At one point, you never had a child, and because he has said it, he has willed it, you wake up and you're pregnant and you're going to have a child sometime next year. You didn't have a job. I have a friend who had applied for a job 2 years looking for a job and could not get any. And each time you'd go for interviews, they would either give reasons that you're too old or too experienced. They would come up with all sorts of reasons, and he could not get a job. But it took 2 years. And in the meantime, those 2 years, he was sowing seeds and he was praying. And he never lost faith in a God who does wonders. And guess what, guys? He went at a Christmas party sometime later. After 2 years, remember all this happened after 2 years. He went at a Christmas party and met someone. And while they were talking, they got talking, and the man said, well, I work with UN. And he said, where are you working? And he said, well, I'm not working. I've been applying and I've failed to get a job, but I did this and the other. And then the man says, okay, send me your CV. I'll see what I can do in case there's any opening. And he sent his CV after the party to him. And after January, February, he got a phone call that he can come and start working in Geneva. Oh my goodness, that was a place he had to be, because his wife was there working in Geneva, but he had applied in UK where he was staying for years and was not getting any job. My goodness, he left the unemployment list just like that. Guys, God can turn around you. And the way he got his job, he never had an interview. Remember, he was at a Christmas party, had given up probably about jobs and had not gone to the Christmas party to apply for jobs. He had gone off to the Christmas party to, meet people and mingle. And guess what God used? It's that Christmas party that he turned around and made him get a job. And he never had an interview, and he's been at that job since, and getting promoted after another promotion, and life is good. It goes to show you that for God to do anything for you, guys, what is it that you think that you want? What is it that you like? God will turn your life around just like this, and everything will be history. That lack, that sickness, that shortage, that scarcity, that ill health, that whatever it is that it is, God will turn it around just like that. But we also have to believe to see it. This man, who was an officer working close to the king, did not believe. And Elisha said, you will see it, but you will not eat of it, because he lacked faith in what God could do. Now, there's this other bit, chapter 3, that says, there were 4 men sick with leprosy near the city gate. They said to each other, why are we sitting here waiting to die? There is no food in Samaria. If we go into the city, we will die there. If we stay here, we will also die. So let us go to the Aramean camp. If they let us live, we will live. If they kill us, we will just die. Now, so that evening, the 4 lepers went into the Aramean camp. When they came to the edge of the camp, no one was there. But if you read in detail, when these lepers were walking, the Arameans were hearing chariots and horses coming. Remember, in those days, if you had leprosy, they would tie bells on your legs, so that way when you're coming, you give a head start to people so that they can stay away from you. So while they were coming in, their bells were ringing, and these Arameans heard like there were chariots coming in to attack them. May God confuse your enemies today, and may He supply all your needs according to His riches in glory. Because our God can confuse our enemies and make them see things, hear things, in order for you to access that which is yours. He is the only one who can do that, guys. Otherwise, in our own strength, we will try. We will try to make life happen. We will try to see that things work out for our good. But if we walk with God, He will turn situations around. He will fool our enemies, make them see things that are not real, and make them hear things that are not there, and they will flee from us, and we will be able to get that which He has promised us. Now, these lepers are coming in. They had nothing to them. They had no chariots, nothing. But the enemies had and fled. Now, this is also going to show us that whatever God has purposed, He will bring to pass regardless. Now, God did not use horses and chariots to get the enemies to flee. He used lepers. And the idea came to them that either way, if we stay here, we will die. If we go, we will still die if they don't show us mercy. So we might as well go. It has to get to that place where we are willing. That come what may, we will go and do that which we are supposed to do. If we get to that place, guys, things will turn around for